Yes.
Been a long time, shouldn't have left you without a dope beat.
It's Steel.
Step two.
But you can't be any geek off the street. Gotta be handy with the steel, if you know what I mean.
Keep it real.
Keeping it real.
Step two, step two, step two, step two, step two, step two. It's been a long time, shouldn't have left you.
Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Steven and this is Steel Keeping It Real. So today is Memorial Day and I'm wearing my red, white, and blue and stuff like that, and people are like, oh, that's kind of disrespectful because you should be patriotic on a day like today. You know what? I am patriotic, and to prove that to some of you doubters out there, I'm going to give you a rundown of my life. Now, I was actually born at Lockbourne Air Force Base here in Ohio, just outside of Columbus, Ohio. Literally, like the line is Columbus, Ohio, and the Air Force Base was right there. So I'm technically born in Columbus, Ohio. And from there, I believe my mother said she took me to Germany. That's where people were calling me Stefan. And I think that would be Rhine-Main Air Force Base in Germany. Then we came back from Germany and went to Kansas, and I think that would be Schilling Air Force Base in Kansas. And then we go from Kansas, and I couldn't call my mother to get anything between Kansas and California, so we go to Travis Air Force Base in California, and that's where my stepfather was stationed. But my real father was stationed at Mather Air Force Base. And that would have been the first time in my life where me and my father actually lived in the same state. And I got to see him, like you do, like every other weekend or something like that. Then my stepfather has to go to Alaska, and that would be Elmendorf Air Force Base in Alaska. That's where my sister was born, and that's where I would have been in like elementary school. So we go from Elmendorf, Alaska, or Elmendorf Air Force Base in Alaska, and then we go to Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico. Now, Holloman Air Force Base is where my little brother was born. It's also the place where there is White Sands, which at the time it used to be like White Sands Missile Range was there as well. And we also took a trip to go see where the first atomic bomb was dropped, and that actually happens to be right around that particular area. So then we go from there to the UK, and that would be Alconbury Air Force Base. And that's where I went to high school, or junior high school, was in Alconbury Air Force Base. Now, I played sports, and there would be, we would travel, so there would be other bases we had to go to, which would be RAF Chicksands, RAF Bentwaters, RAF Lakenheath, RAF Mildenhall. I'm sure I'm missing some, but all those bases also would come to, our base, especially our AYA where we had dances, and so all the bases would come to where we were. So go from, and this is from 1980 to 1984. So you go from 1984, we come back to the United States. I just realized I'm missing an Air Force base because in the summer of '79, I believe it was, we had to go to Florida. This just came to me. I don't remember the name of the Air Force base in Florida where my stepfather had to go to officers training school, but we were there as well. So that's around the same time that we're in New Mexico, because once he became an officer, that's when we were able to go over to the UK. So fast forward, 1984, come back over from the from the UK, and we go to Colorado. Now, the base we were actually attached to was actually called Peterson Field, which I believe now is where they supposedly moved Area 51 or something like that. But which Peterson Field was near Fort Carson, which was the only time I was ever near an Army base that I can remember. My stepfather was attached to Cheyenne Mountain, which was NORAD, which is, if you ever seen War Games, that's where that is. And he also taught for a brief time at the Air Force Academy. However, my high school was on in the Air Force Academy district, so I graduated at the Air Force Academy. So that is something that I can say. Now, that's just a little clips. There's a lot of living through that time frame. There's dealing with racism. There's dealing with, what was going on in my family. There was dealing with, love and relationships and, coming of age, and all these things would happen between this time period. Back when I lived at Travis Air Force Base, I remember that there was a summer where I saw Young Frankenstein at least 10 times. When I have certain imagery of my youth, I have to attach it to, of course, a state or a country, and then, I go from there to try to remember things. When I get older, that's going to be helpful. Now, my story is unique to me, but let me tell you something. There is a network. There is about millions of children that were like me that have a similar experience in their life if they were a military brat like me. And there's a bond between us if we actually can recognize or acknowledge, like, hey, you're a military brat too? Hey, we have something in common. We have a common bond as far as, we might not have been in the military as far as, going to, a job and having a commander and all that other kind of stuff. We didn't have that part. Our commander was our father, and our fathers ran the household almost like it was military. So we have that kind of bond and, experiences. And, I want to take this moment to acknowledge us kids out there that also went through these moves, these emotions, all of these things that are attached to our parents who were in the military. So not only do I want to say thank you to the men and women who fight for our country and who have died for our country, but I also want to acknowledge the kids out there that were along for the ride. So if you are still here, I thank you very much for staying tuned. I really do appreciate it. First and foremost, I want you guys to like the videos as much as I like making them for you. After that, all you need to do to help me out with the channel is to like, subscribe, share, and comment. Peace.